Well, welcome back to the Yankee Redneck. Me and Odessa are glad you came back around. We'd like to talk a bit today. Maybe we got to have some country logic, yeah. You know, every so often we hear over and over again, can we make Washington, D.C. the 51st state? Well, folks, let me tell you a little secret. Have you been to Washington, D.C.? They don't care about anybody but themselves. Let me tell you, you think it's only your congressman or your senator? No. It's everybody there. It's everybody. As we all say, they're all on the government dole. Yeah, government dole. Yeah, it's a good place to get into, but once you get in, they don't ever want to leave. No. They just stay there forever. You know, you get a job. When we get a job out here in the country, we expect to work. We expect to show up on time, work every minute, you know, do a quick lunch, and when the time comes, we go home. But all during that day, we're busy. We're busy. In D.C., for some reason, when you get there, you think you can work 20 years, retire, and then get like 40 years of retirement and health benefits? How does that math work? I just don't get it. You work 1/3, and 2/3, you're eligible for benefits. So I get a job at, let's say, 20 years in at 40, retire at 42, live to 82, who's gonna pay for me doing nothing for 40 years? No, that's not right. I didn't do anything for 40 years, but I didn't do too much during the 20 years. No, that's the way it is up in that DC. And they look down at people like you and me. Yeah, they do. You know, so I got a good idea. I got a real good idea. You know, they keep talking about, you know, making D.C. the 51st state. You know, I've been up to D.C. quite a bit. Yeah. Odessa and me been around DuPont Circle. Yeah, we've been up to Lafayette Square. We've been all over Northwest D.C. Even drove in the Chevy Chase in Bethesda and across the bridge, went into Arlington and Alexandria. You know, Alexandria, they got houses that are almost this wide from the 1800s. 800, 900,000, maybe a million, 12-foot wide houses. Yep, and here's a fun little fact, you know. Old Town Alexandria used to be part of D.C. It did. Yeah. So let's see if Virginia wants to give back Old Town Alexandria to D.C. You know, there was a time when D.C. didn't even want it. And D.C., you know, it's only like 60-something square miles, like 9 miles that way and 9 miles that way. Shoot, we can't even get into town in 9 miles. And they want to make that a state, you know? And they are all in an uproar about the president wanting to take Greenland. You know how many people live in Greenland? About as many that's going to be in a football stadium this weekend to watch the playoffs. The playoffs, yeah, we're all going to watch the playoffs. Football's fun time, I'll tell you. But you know, there's only like 70,000 people plus or minus up there in Greenland, and it's not too green. No. And you know, it's like the 3 times the size of Texas. And DC is only like 68 square miles plus or minus. Yeah, that ain't too big. So I got a good plan. Yes, sir. Let's trade DC for Greenland. Yeah, Greenland's full of natural resources. They're happy people. They do not look down at the rest of the United States. No, they don't. And they are hard self-dependent people. Yeah. If a storm comes, hits every day. They aren't going to the grocery store and wipe everything off the shelves. For what? It's going to snow a little bit? That ain't going to happen in Greenland. DC, you think like 3 inches of snow is a natural disaster. Everybody stays home. Another day off. Not that it matters. They were going to get so much done if they went in. And they think the rest of the world revolves around them. It's a crazy thing. You go over to Arlington and, they'll tear down a house that costs $1 million just to build a bigger house. It's just crazy. And you know what? If you're out in middle America, busting your stones, they want you to pay more taxes. They do. DC claims that they are taxation without representation. What do you think the rest of us think? You think we think we're all being represented? There's something that happens when you elect a congressman or a senator and they step off the plane at Reagan or Dulles. They turn into somebody else. Yes. And they, fly back to their district occasionally and, pretend they're home. But once they get to DC, they're all but gone. They're all but gone, yeah. Different people. They forget about their constituents. It's a bad thing. And let me ask you, oh man, I don't want to get off on this. I don't do the red and blue. But this goes for both. How do you become a congressman and they get like $175,000 a year? I don't know, maybe $200,000. They're supposed to own a house in their district. They're supposed to live in DC, which the cost of living is crazy. And somehow they end up millionaires. How is that possible? They aren't working stupid jobs. They aren't working 2 or 3 jobs. No siree. They are just, I don't know, getting lucky somehow. Yeah, I'll tell you. I don't know if you get elected and get rich. I'll tell you. It goes for all of them. Doesn't matter if you're red or blue. You come in and you come out a multimillionaire. Imagine me writing a book. A book that nobody wants to read, and I'm sure that's probably true, but what if I got $2 or $3 million advance for it? Do you ever think about that? Man, that's crazy, huh? So I think if you think about it, Greenland's got a lot of natural resources. Only about a football stadium full of people, hardworking, rough people. Let's think about trading DC for Greenland. We end up a lot better off. Get rid of one problem and get an area of land that's worthy of being a state. DC used to be part of Maryland and Virginia. It was not. If they wanted to be a part of a state again, just like the section that used to be Virginia, it went back to Virginia. If DC wants to be what's remaining of it, a state, just be absorbed by Maryland. Yeah. That's what you got the most similarity with. Yeah. Just be absorbed by Maryland and help out that. It'd be a good thing. Move all that together and just have a zone for the federal government. We don't need the whole thing. No. So let's think about that. Getting Greenland's probably a good idea. So much natural resources. But getting rid of DC is probably a better one. Well, let's all talk and think about that. It's just something to ponder, Go to DC one day. See what they think of everybody outside. Unless you're from Northern Virginia, or Maryland, or Bethesda, Chevy Chase. They don't think too kindly of everybody in flyover country, no siree. You're just a number, a vote sometimes. They don't want to represent you. No, sirree.
They're gonna put me on the YouTube. They're gonna make a big star out of me. Talking about living in the country. And all I gotta do is act naturally. I bet you I'm gonna be a big shot. Might get monetized, you can never tell. Won't you be a subscriber? Because living on Social Security isn't going so well.